I believe we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty.
Nice.
Welcome everyone to a brand new live episode of Let's Talk Broncos, brought to you by Mile High Sports. You can follow us on Twitter at Mile High Sports, at the LTB Podcast, at Breebree0322, at JR Drafts, and at Zach_Seegers. You can find all of Zach and Joey's excellent writing on milehighsports.com. Listen to any of our previous episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our new YouTube channel. And if Facebook or Instagram is your thing, you can find us there too. Joey, Zach, how are you both doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I had another really good day today. Mondays are always my craziest days with work, but I'm able to get it done in time. All that, got home just a little bit ago. I'm just excited to talk Broncos with you guys. I mean, there was some big news today. We had to alter our podcast plan, so I'm excited to get into it. Zach, how are you feeling, man?
I'm doing great. I tried to spruce up my background more, but now I'm realizing the way it's cropped, you still can't see a thing. I'm doing pretty well. Had a great weekend. I'm excited to be back here and glad we have something to talk about. It's early June, and yet it's still pretty eventful. So that's good. I'm excited for that.
And I am excited as well to have you both here with me. The puck drop is actually in about 30 minutes, so we cannot wait for that.
Be quick, yeah.
This game should be, we'll be quick. We're going to get you off to your destination here shortly, but let's jump into things, all right? And Joey alluded to it earlier. Rumors are swirling about the new owner for the Denver Broncos. The bids were due today, and it's been reported that Walton is leading the pack with an estimated $4.5 billion. Joey, tell me what that initial news kind of meant to you and what you think about that number.
No, yeah, so that's the very first thing I looked at was that number, and I was just kind of looking at it like I can't even process $4.5 billion in my head. Like that it's insane how much money that is, and Walton obviously would be the richest owner in the NFL. I find that absolutely crazy, ridiculous. I mean, my gosh, that's a crazy number. 4.5 billion, the most expensive sports franchise of all time, right? So man, I don't know. I'm kind of just excited to get this over with a little bit. I mean, we've been dealing with this Bullen family thing, and for how crazy it has been to follow, it's just like, can we please get this over, right? So I'm just happy to see what Walton brings, and for this whole Bullen family thing just to end.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's nice to just kind of have this situation sorted. And I really think that's the big takeaway right now. Obviously the big sale, how much money that is absolutely insane. Like Joey said, I think that's one takeaway. The fact that it's a wealthy owner, I think you can, take a little something out of that. But even then, I don't think that necessarily means they're going to be big spenders. We've seen people, and then I've also seen people arguing we should expect him to be a very cheap owner based on the way he runs Walmart, which I think is a reasonable argument. That said, I just think we have no idea right now. They haven't owned a team before. It's not like we really have anything to go off of. Owning an actual business and owning a professional sports franchise are two wildly different things. Some owners are really frugal with their businesses and then treat their teams like pet projects. Sometimes they're way too involved. And even though they're spending a lot, they can kind of wreck things a little bit. Look at like David Tepper and the Panthers. I think he was the last new owner to enter the league. So I just think we really don't know, and we won't know until 2-3 years, which isn't the most exciting answer in the world. But I do think it's probably the most realistic.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Zach. It's just this whole situation, man. Bree, aren't you just happy this whole thing is just done with? Or it's potentially, we're getting close to it at least. It's not official yet, but at least we're reaching to the point where it's like, finally, the Broncos have an owner.
I think that there's a little bit of relief that is to be felt with, solving that last piece of the puzzle. Everything kind of fell into place everywhere else. I mean, even the quarterback seemed to have landed straight in the Denver Broncos lap, and the owner has been the big question mark as far as getting potentially new uniforms or possibly moving the stadium or making the necessary adjustments there. So I think this really allows everything to move forward. That's been on the back burner, but has been fresh on people's minds every time the season starts. So yeah, I think there's a little hesitation just because there's big shoes to fill, and obviously no one's going to be Pat Bowlen. So bringing in any owner, especially worth that many billions of dollars, there's going to be some things that just don't feel right. And I think Broncos country is just going to have to learn to adapt. But money talks. If the Broncos are no longer cash poor and able to run away with that, I think this solves a lot of the needs within the organization.
Yeah, and what a unique thing this has been for the Broncos, right? Being that, I mean, this whole thing went through the court processes and stuff like that. The Broncos had to sell, or are going to have to sell, to the highest bidder as long as they pass all the league regulations. They don't get to pick their buyer, which really even, I mean, man, do you think it could even get higher than this 4.5? Me personally, this is just speculation. I think it definitely could, right? Like
it's one of the best investments.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like gold. It's just going up.
It really is. It's like gold. It's only going up. The Broncos too. When you look at, like, I don't know if you guys have seen any of those maps, and it shows like it's all color coordinated on the U.S. map, and it shows the Broncos territory of how many states they cover of Broncos fans. It's not just Denver, right? Like we have all of Wyoming over there. We have a huge area. Broncos are a historic franchise. They just got Russell Wilson, and these are really, really rich people we're talking about here. If you could definitely see a bidding war start.
Well, absolutely. No, I just want to chime in real quick because I think that the Dallas Cowboys have held the America's team for so long that I really think the Denver Broncos have done a great job in the last decade or so of kind of replacing that, especially with those Super Bowl runs there with Peyton Manning. And this is the time for them to come back. When you talk about relevance, you're looking at all of the above and across the board.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that's a huge thing. And I do think it's going to get a lot higher. I could see the bidding continue to go up, but it's just such a safe investment. It's only going to keep going up. And one last thing I want to say, we want to get your thoughts on the ownership and everything. Unfortunately, you can't leave comments on the Twitter side of things, but if you go over to our YouTube or Facebook, which is linked right below here, if you're watching on Twitter, go over there and you can leave comments and we can go back and forth with y'all. So just wanted to point that out.
I'll throw a question out there. I mean, do you guys think there's going to be any like stark differences, or do you guys have any predictions for what's going to happen now that we do have a new owner? Do you think these new uniforms roll out soon? Like, I don't know. It's all kind of a guess at this point, but do you guys have any guesses, I guess?
Well, next year, I'm assuming. I think we won't see anything this offseason that's that transformative. I imagine the wheels start turning on a lot of that stuff next offseason. I think we've seen teams like take a couple years to like figure out their uniforms, at least one. So I think maybe new uniforms 2024 seems reasonable. And then stadium, maybe you're breaking ground around 2024 and it's finishing in 2026, probably out by the airport. Not arguing for that, but I do think it seems like a pretty realistic outcome. Abel Wannabeast.
Yeah. There's some. I don't know. It's interesting. You talk about probably by the airport, building a whole new area like that would be cool. It's something in my brain. I know it's going to be controversial. There's a lot of people in Denver that don't want the stadium to leave, but man, you see how the Cardinals did that in some of these other places. It would be cool.
Well, let me ask you a question related to that. Is how do you feel about the possibility of a dome in Denver, Colorado?
I don't know. I don't really have a take on that. I think the dome would be okay. I think it would be, I mean, if I were the Broncos, I would build a dome. You have a shot at getting a Super Bowl down here, other stuff like that. I would do it as far as a making money standpoint. The only thing I really want is real grass. That's what I want to keep. I want real grass. I don't want this artificial turf.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% on board there. Go ahead, Zach.
Outdoor. I know Bree's going to push back on this. I think it's got to be an outdoor stadium. I don't go the way of, I don't know, some of these other NFL franchises. Like Denver's not so miserable that it can't have a dome. And I don't want to ruin, I don't know, that kind of, I'm all for it. And I know Bree's going to be opposed because she's like the weirdest Coloradan ever and hates snow. But like I don't know, it happens like once a season, and I think having the elements is a fun part of the sport, and having the natural grass. That's another thing you're probably losing if you go to a dome. Increased injuries, on that artificial turf. I am staunchly in the no dome camp.
Well, can't you put real grass in the dome? I mean, I don't foresee that being a huge issue. You just open up the top and allow sunshine through. So I don't see why that would be such a pain. Sorry, there was visitors. I was waving. You couldn't see me.
I guess it's like maybe that's workable, but I don't know. We're in Denver, Colorado. Like you need it. And what's the upshot? Like maybe the NFL gifts you like a Super Bowl, and we all have to deal with like extra traffic for a week.
That's exactly what you do. And I'm going to fight you on that right now, because now that I'm no longer distracted by visitors, is that if you put a dome in and you're able to retract the roof and allow all the beautiful Colorado sunshine to come in, even on cold days, like I get it, being outside in the elements, and everybody calls that football weather. But have you ever had to scrape 1.5 feet of snow off your seat that you pay a lot of money for? I'm telling you right now, I don't like it.
Yeah. Also, I want to add in there as a former football player, no one agrees that plays football that the snow is football weather. There's not a single person that agrees with that. Everyone hates the snow. It's only people that like saying it's football weather are the people that are watching from home on the TV. I swear to God, that's
me. It's fun. It's more fun
to watch.
We need it in the sport occasionally. And it's great. And it's not only snow games. You get some rain games. There's some like wind. I don't know. I think
there's also 100-degree preseason games where you get people who can't control their liquor and start passing out because of heat stroke. So I think temperature control could be really important. And like Joey alluded to, you could have the Super Bowl. So
acting all noble, like we're caring about the drunks with heat stroke. No, this is to save yourself from snow 100%. Undeniably.
I am the worst Coloradan. I'm a native and I hate the snow. So you're never going to convince me.
Wow. I'm surprised. I see entirely outnumbered here. Frankie is on the dome train. Saying Lambeau's cost Green Bay more than it's helped them.
How do you feel
John
being wrong, Zach?
with us,
does it
kind of against me
a little bit?
Tyler is looking for ways to make it work. Maybe a retractable roof. I'm just like, I don't know. The Super Bowl, having the Super Bowl in Denver isn't that big of a deal for me. Like I think having the draft in Denver.
Well, technically it would
a better fan of that.
Technically it would be in Commerce City, because I don't know if they'd really build.
The thing, it'll be out east.
It'll be out east.
They'll build a little sports hub by the airport on the light rail system, and we'll see if that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. There's a lot of changes coming. Joey mentioned the uniforms, and I have a question for you guys regarding bringing back the retro look of the old D logo and those color combinations, much like you see with the throwback jerseys and the color rush. Do you think they take those away entirely, bring them back full time? How does that make you feel? Because I'm pretty strongly opinionated on this one.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do, but I know what they should do. I definitely know what they should do. They should 100% bring back more of the retro look. That those more pastel colors are it right now, especially with football uniforms. Man, I won't lie to you. This orange and blue, I mean, just wearing it around, the one that we have right now, it's not the best. I like those old pastel uniforms. Like I have the old school John Elway. It's white with the old colors on it, and it just looks so much better to me. I like that. That's what they should do, without any doubt in my mind.
I fully agree. I think the current one is very of its time. Like there's some NFL uniforms that look very late 90s, early 2000s. Like I think the Falcons' old one embodied that. They just look very of that time period in the NFL when all those teams got new uniforms. And the Broncos are in that club, and it's like, Yeah, they definitely need an update. I think we all know what the fan base wants is so incredibly clear. It's exactly what Joey's saying. It's like a modernized retro look. I don't think we want full orange. Like if you look at the old John Elway homes, they're pretty much like all orange except for the white numbers. I don't think we want going right back to the retro, but like that pastel orange with like some blue shoulder stripes. Marcus Boggins on Twitter has an awesome mock-up. That's what we want. And I respect it. The demon horse has been great, but the demon horse also, I don't love the look of it. I think some of it is a little like we're used to it. And it's a little, the D is like such an iconic sports logo. I think that's an all-time like S tier sports logo.
And the Broncos are a historic team. Like this isn't some team that's only been to one Super Bowl before or something like that. The Broncos have been good for a long time. They've been around for a long time. Go back to the roots, man. That's what we all want.
You lose the retro. You lose what makes it nostalgic. You lose as soon as everyone starts wearing it around as the now, you're going to lose all the fun it is when you put that on and you bring it out of the closet or somebody asks you like, oh my God, that's really sweet. Where did you get that? That's where I'm going to leave that right here because we've already spent 15 minutes on what could potentially happen for the Broncos. But right now we have OTAs going on right now. And I know somebody was there this morning. Zach, take it away. Let us know what you saw today and what was most interesting to you.
I think what was most interesting to me, comfortably, honestly, is seeing KJ Hamler back out there. Going through just like watching everyone and like seeing, okay, who's here and watching, different positions do their warm-ups. I finally got to wide receivers and seeing KJ Hamler back and like running fast is so exciting. I don't know if he's 100% KJ Hamler. Like that was hard to tell from my vantage point. I'm not saying he's not, or I'm concerned about what I saw by any means. I legitimately don't know, but he was moving very, very fast and breaking hard, decelerating. They took it easy on him. He wasn't doing as many reps as everyone else. This was the first practice I saw him out there, so that wasn't too surprising. But he was not going 50% speed. He was running hard. Hackett talked about it after how he is such a hard worker, how he's just ridiculously dialed in. And Hackett credited his fast return from this injury and that ability to be going full speed right now, making hard cuts, like the 20-yard deep out with a toe tap on the sidelines is what stands out to me. The ability to do that, we talk so often, players coming back from these ACL injuries, so much of it is a confidence game and regaining that confidence in the ligament you tore. Hamler has that confidence and it's wild. It's never wavered. And Hackett is credited that to him coming back and immediately looking so good out there.
Yeah. KJ Hamler, man, I don't know how you guys felt about him, but pre-injury, I was really, really excited about KJ Hamler. I know all of us went to a bunch of training camps. I only missed like 2 or 3 training camps last offseason. And KJ Hamler was the guy that stuck out to me the most is like, oh, this guy is really, really good. Just like how he moves in open field. He's not just a deep threat. I think that's where people always got him confused. He is so lightning quick. In man coverage, it's so difficult for these DBs to stick up with him. It's just because they don't have the movement skills of KJ Hamler, plain and simple. I'd be really excited for him to come back and be good. Like, that would be so cool.
I think what's really exciting about KJ Hamler is he can run, all the same routes as Judy. He just seems to be able to kick into high gear, going towards that end zone. So I'm really excited to see if he's lost any of that speed. And I say that I think he hasn't, and I think he's ready to go. What I was hearing is that he should be ready to go for the start of the season if all goes correctly. And obviously he doesn't re-injure or stress out that former injury too much. But I'm really excited to see what he can do. What I'm also really excited about is Tim Patrick seemed to have quite the connection with Russell Wilson today. Zach, did that stand out to you with that very reliable receiver?
Yeah, it really did. You saw Wilson going to Patrick quite a bit. And I think everyone's talking about the Wilson to Patrick thing because I think that was the play of the game. the pockets collapsing, or the scrimmage, the practice session. You've got the line collapsing around Wilson. I thought it was going to be a sack. Obviously, you can't touch the quarterback, but it was about over with. And right before the defense fully closed in, he just hurled a deep ball up to Patrick, perfectly in stride. He goes up there, comes down with it through contact of Michael Ojemudia, gets up, does a first down symbol, yells some stuff at Michael Ojemudia. There was some fun trash talking. I think Tim Patrick brings a lot of fire to this skill position group. He's like the energizer bunny of the group. So that was fun to see. But yeah, I think there's definitely a connection there. And I saw it somewhat on that deep ball to Tim Patrick, but just going back to being excited about KJ Hamler really quick, I wanted to add, this is like the perfect quarterback for KJ Hamler. Like, you could split hairs and go, oh, well, what about Rodgers or Mahomes or Allen, or like the absolute best guys in the league? But man, there might not be anyone who throws a better deep ball than Russell Wilson. It is just so easy to run under that ball. Kyler Murray's up there too. But I think that's really going to accentuate Hamler's gifts, and I'm excited to see that this season, as well as how he's going to use Patrick and the rest of these receivers.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Okay, so where do you think, like, at the end of the year, here's just like, I want you guys to make a prediction real quick. You guys don't have to stand by this. You can change it later, live on the pod. Where do you guys think at the end of the season, like reception yards, Tim Patrick ranks among all the weapons?
Okay, so I already called Tim Patrick out as my leading touchdown scorer for the team. So I'm really bought into him leading the charge. I know that we discussed a little bit of how Sutton and I believe Javonte Williams is going to have a tremendous year. I could see both running backs having 1,000-yard years, but I think Patrick is going to surprise a lot of people with just how well he works in this offense alongside Russell Wilson. So I don't want to give like technical numbers like right off the bat, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not one of the lead, if not the lead weapon for receivers.
I might go the other way here. I think Sutton is going to be that number one guy. I think we're going to see a return to 2019 Sutton, or at least a lot closer to that form than what we got last year. And I think you have some confidence. I don't know. I've got confidence in Courtland Sutton coming back. I think he's going to be a great fit with Russell Wilson. Jerry Jeudy, I think, could bounce back some. I don't know if he'll outproduce Tim Patrick. I don't know if KJ Hamler will outproduce Tim Patrick, but I think they're going to be nipping at his heels the whole time. I'd say comfortably I'd put Sutton and Williams ahead of him. So I think like ceiling for me would be 3. And then floor, man, I'd say probably lower than like 5 or so, 6, but somewhere in there. Because I don't think the tight ends are going that far ahead of him in this offense.
I don't either. Man, to Bree's point here, I'll say this about Tim Patrick. We've had, like, for how great we think Courtland Sutton can be, he had the injury. He was recovering last season. He still is really good. And I think coming off of a injury, a year removed now, a serious injury, he could be amazing, because what we saw 2 seasons ago was flashes of brilliance. Last year, we saw a little more consistency without as many flashes. But if he can put it together, I agree with you, Zach. But man, I just don't think there's a more consistent player on this Broncos offense than Tim Patrick, man. He's Mr. Reliable out there. And I with a good quarterback, he could just skyrocket, I think. He could definitely be it.
And people really underrate his athleticism.
They totally do.
He's not like some and no one says this, but I feel like he gets treated like he runs a 4.8, you know?
Yeah, he does. You're right.
He's
That's
a good athlete.
Right. Yeah.
He's 6'5", and there's untapped athletic potential still in his game. He's a great talent. I don't know. I think this offense is going to have a little more speed on the outside. And I do wonder about, like, he is Mr. Reliable. And I think that was huge when you had scattershot quarterbacks, 2 of them, not taking shots at one in particular. Both were bad. And now you're going to a quarterback. Joey, you and I agree, but I'm just trying to limit the pitchforks. But I think you have a quarterback that can better utilize Judy and Hamler both now. And so I think if anyone's going to I think they're going to benefit more from getting Wilson in the fray than Patrick will.
I will say the only one of the things that I could see limit his yards a little bit is there is a little bit of redundancy between him and Cortland Sutton, just a little bit. There's just a little bit, and maybe that kind of limits it a little bit. But I love Tim Patrick.
My other wide receiver note, really quick. I got to get this in. Brandon Johnson. I think it's a thing. I think he's a guy. And I want to be very clear what I mean about this time of year when I'm looking at the back end of the roster. I'm like, oh, this could be a guy. I think of Demarie Crockett last year, who was a guy I'm like, oh, maybe this could be something. And he was activated for a game. Maybe he had a touch or two on the season. But he was on the practice squad for a lot of the year, kind of just hung around. I could totally see that from Brandon Johnson. To me, I think he's looked better than Seth Williams, undeniably. I think he's looked better than any of those back end of the roster wide receivers that fans wouldn't probably be familiar with. Looking at, I'm trying to think Caden Davis, or maybe it's Virgil Davis. If you look at the depth chart, Travis Fulgham would be another one that he's looking better than. And hey, Fulgham had a great run in his career, but I'm telling you, of those back end of the roster guys that don't really have a good chance of making the roster, Brandon Johnson and Tyree Cleveland, I think, are the dudes that stand out to me. Is I'd want to keep these guys around either practice squad or very back end of the roster, special teamer. Over under 5.5 catches. Under, which ruins the whole segment, but he's gonna be fun. He'll preseason god. No, I'll tell you this: he's gonna put up Trinity Benson preseason numbers, get you a 7th round pick. That's what he's gonna be fun in the preseason. He's a fun camp body practice squatter who maybe if injuries happen, he gets in the rotation for some special team snaps. I'll say over 20 snaps for him. I'll say over 20 snaps combining special teams.
Okay.
But if you are getting him in the lineup, he is wide receiver number 6. You are in dire straits. And I think you're not targeting him.
All right, guys, I do want to be respectful of the time that we have allotted to us prior to this hockey game that's about to start. Zach, did you have any other notes out of camp that you wanted to share?
Yeah, Jonas Griffith looks great. I think we all overlooked him because we were thinking Browning Jewell. That's the starting linebacker group. You've got Singleton coming in, but Jonas Griffith could compete with Josie Jewell for the 1 spot. I think this coaching staff believes in him, and he's looked great in camp. I think he looks really smooth and instinctive. He's flowing to the ball very naturally. Montrell Washington appears, I think, is the best punt returner out there. Caught myself. I think he's the best punt returner out there. I'm a fan of him. And then the energy, wanted to highlight that again. There was a really fun moment with Hackett and Simmons trash talking each other. And then Hackett did a little route and kind of got open on Simmons and was celebrating and laughing, and was also celebrating the big Tim Patrick catch we talked about earlier. So I thought those were some highlights.
Yeah, Zach, good thing you caught yourself, because if you said Montrell Williams was the best wide receiver, I'm clipping it so fast. It would be crazy. Your head would be spinning how fast that clip would be on Twitter.
No,
our podcast numbers are through the roof. The controversy.
Yes, but just return man. When I said punt return, I meant return man. Thank you for catching me on that, John.
All right, fantastic. I would like to thank everybody for joining us for this very quick but special edition of the Let's Talk Broncos podcast. We will be live again on Wednesday, same spot, same area. Come talk to us on YouTube. Thanks for everyone who came into the chat. I know, some of you in the chat are actually here in the bar right now, ready to watch this game. So really excited to see and speak with all of you. Joey and Zach, tell the people where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach. That's all you.
Sorry, man. Joey, my bad. Find me on Twitter at Zach_Seegers, and find me over on milehighsports.com. Got tons of writing and articles over there.
Yeah, guys, just give me a follow at JR Drafts, Twitter. Make sure you're giving all of our we put the podcast on a bunch of different social medias. Make sure you're giving that a follow. Facebook, YouTube,
Links
obviously.
below.
Yeah, links all below. So yeah, go give those a follow. My writing's at Mile High Sports. But yeah, that's all I really have.
Fantastic. We're such a busy crew, but we can't help but come together twice a week to bring you all the Broncos content for Mile High Sports. You can catch me on Twitter as well, BRI0322. Tuesdays with MHRT 5280 podcast, Thursdays with the Fan Cave, Mile High Sports 98.1 FM, and just about anywhere you get your Broncos news. Great spending this evening with you guys. We'll catch you next time, and let's go Broncos.